How do you keep an arrangement interesting? Hey guys, this is a song I've been working on called Someone Else, and it's done now, and it's released everywhere. I managed to do one thing in this track that sometimes I struggle with, and it's called restraint. How do you keep a song interesting, right? I have some techniques in here that I implemented specifically for that, and I'll get back to the restraint in a bit. So this track is built from sounds in the 25 Contact library, because actually I started it when Native Instruments gave this library away for free, and there was this contest you were able to enter like 3 years ago, and I started to work on this track back then, and now it's finally done. And it's all built upon this arpeggio. This goes pretty much throughout the whole song. And then the first way you might say I'm keeping it interesting is I'm surprising the listener with the moment the bass and chords come into this arrangement. I'm starting the arpeggio on this D on the lowest note, but the downbeat is actually on the G. But you don't know that when you listen to the track for the first time. And it's supposed to be a little bit of a surprise. Gotta run to someone else. Gotta talk to someone else. Hey, I'm just here to keep track of some of the arrangement tips. The first one is the thing we just saw. You can disguise the downbeat, especially in the beginning of a song, and fool your listener. But there's not that many elements going, right? So verse 1 is just the synthesizer also playing a pad. This is actually the same sound, I just put them on different tracks. And also this bass, also from 25. And then for the repeat, which is the second verse, I'm bringing in some drums, actually Dom Ziegler's Modern 80s kit, as well as another instance of 25 playing this little top line. So with the repeat of the pattern, I'm keeping a lot of it the same, but I'm also introducing some new elements. This is the second tip, work with layers. Introduce a new layer, take out another one. Don't always play all of the layers at the same time. And then the chorus follows and everything stays exactly the same again, but I'm adding another element, another instance of 25. It's this organ on the top. And the vocals are pretty different if you listen to the full thing. To someone else. Verse 2. Gotta meet with someone else. Chorus. Every time you talk so calm, but everything I say. What I mean with tip number 3 is if you keep an accompaniment the same, so bass, drums and chords are all the same, you can still change up the melody significantly, be it vocals or a lead instrument. Next thing I'm doing to keep this kind of interesting is another little surprise. After the chorus is over, there's just a bar of nothing except arpeggio. This is tip number 4. If you need to slow down the pacing of the song a bit, maybe give some room to breathe to a section, or maybe create anticipation for a bigger impact, you can just add a bar of break and fill it with a drum fill, or as I did, with some arpeggio. It can even be just some sound effects. And I'm not sure if you caught this, but I'm actually changing the drum sound. This drum sound right here, Dom Ziegler's Modern 80s kit for Halley on Sonic, that only plays in the first part. After that I'm switching over to this Lin kit. Let's hear the transition again. Say so loud. Yes, tip number 5, subtle changes. Not everything you change has to be obvious on first listen. But why exactly did you do that? Why? I don't know. I felt like it, and I think it's interesting. It keeps the song interesting. A new element, but not really a new element. Then there's this synth hook, you could say, played on the Brainworks Oberhausen. And the rest is all still the same. So some elements are changing, but not all of them are changing all of the time. Many of these tips can kind of be grouped together. Same but different. Change something, keep something the same. Then verse 3 is where it really gets interesting and where I'm really working with changing things that you don't necessarily notice, but I'm trying to keep some restraint, like I'm not trying to load it too much. I'm introducing one new element, which is this new top organ played on Dext. Also, what should keep it interesting here is the development of the lyrics. In the first 2 verses, I didn't really say a lot. I just said, gotta talk to someone else. And now in the third verse, I'm giving a lot more context. That's tip number 7. Make the song interesting through the lyrics. Also, I'm treating the vocals a bit different. For example, in the first two verses, we only have these melodies. And of course, there's someone else. Don't believe you couldn't tell. And here in the third verse, the next vocal part is a new melody. Yes, most pop songs are made up of similar verses and similar choruses, but not every verse has to be the same. Verse 1 can be completely different from verse 2. Maybe try to keep them a bit related, but you can get creative. I still need someone's help. And to make this stand out even more, I added some doubles to this one on the left and right. It's pretty subtle. Without those, it would sound like this. I still need someone's help. And with those, it sounds like this. I still need someone's help. Should be kind of a subconscious, hey, listen to this specific part. It's what I'm hoping to achieve at least. That's tip number 9. Just double specific vocal sections instead of everything all the time. Another thing I'm doing is I'm bringing in some new drums again. The vintage dry kit in Addictive Drums. After verse 3, we go back into the chorus. And this one is completely new again. The first half is a lot more bare bones than anything we heard so far. Sounds like this. Every time you talk so calm. But everything I say so loud. Alright, in the first chorus we had this top organ. This one is gone now. We also had this counter melody. That one's gone as well. And also you probably noticed I'm layering the lead vocals always with this vocal synth. And usually this layer is adding multiple notes, like I'm triggering it with chords, with multiple MIDI notes. But here, for the first half of the second chorus, it is just one note. Every time you talk so calm. And that's another way I'm trying to differentiate this first half of the second chorus from the first chorus. Tip number 10 is similar to tip number 8. But with choruses, you should keep the melody the same, but the accompaniment can vary, even drastically at times. Every time you talk so calm. But everything I say so loud. Every time I talk so calm. But everything I say so loud. And then for the second half of the chorus, I'm trying to make it even bigger than the first time around the chorus played by layering more vocals. Basically, tip number 11 is contrast something very small with something very big. Make one section as small as possible and one section as big as possible. You can even go more extreme than I did in this example. Every time I talk, everything I say. And this is where I had to show some real restraint, because I love how this interacts with the lead vocal and also with the layer of vocal synth. Every time I talk so calm. But I decided on only putting these vocals in for this very moment. The chorus actually only comes twice in the song, and I wanted to keep every instance of the repetitions kind of unique. So this is the only moment where the background vocals are actually happening. And I think it's a bit sad because I could put them in the first time the chorus comes as well, but I think like it makes the whole track more interesting with this difference. So this is where I had to show some restraint, and I managed to do so compared to other times. Yes, we finally arrived at tip number 12, restraint. The point here is by not copying these backing vocals to every chorus, I'm making this one special. And then we go back into the synth solo. And I felt after these very impactful harmonies, I had to kind of give something extra. I didn't want to keep it exactly the same as the first time the synth solo played. You don't have to consciously notice that there's a difference. So I opted for kind of filling out some lower mid-range with these more subtle synths, I think. So this hopefully makes this second synth solo a bit more special and a bit more impactful without you consciously noticing that there's an added layer. Again, with the subtle changes from tip number 5, here I want to hammer home that the changes don't have to be noticed on first listen, maybe not even on a 10th listen. maybe it just stays subconscious. If you want to go a step too far, like I usually do, and I did in this song as well, you can do something like this. What did I do here? Let's listen to this original arpeggio again. If you look at this grid, you might notice that it's all in 3/4 time. But what the arpeggio is playing here feels like 6/8 or like swing, triplets. And then it switches. It switches from the 6/8 feel to a 3/4 feel. Yeah, this is tip 14. Of course, you can go nuts. I'm not sure if this is going to make your music more approachable, if this is going to make you a more successful artist, this tip number 14 of going nuts. But it's fun. Yeah, I just did that all in the MIDI grid, basically more or less on accident, because I just wrote this arpeggio consisting of 6 notes that repeat 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? A 6/8 groove. 1, 2, 1, 2. And then for this part, I just rudely switched the arpeggio up to something with 4 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's how I made this crazy beat switch. It's a real struggle to perform live, and we're actually going to do that from my point of view tomorrow. Alright, that's the breakdown of my new song, Someone Else. Artist name at Baron Lane, with a special focus on what I did to keep the track interesting. I hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe to see a big piano comparison video that I'm working on, where I'm comparing all the different virtual pianos I was able to get my hands on. Go stream the song, I would really appreciate it. Subscribe to my artist channel at Baron Lane. See you again soon. Thanks for watching. Bye. Gotta run to someone else. Gotta talk to someone else. Every time you talk so cold. But everything I say so loud.